Cold day out there. We have temperatures ranging from the upper teens into the 20s, but we really have to keep in mind that average for this time of the year is right around 39 degrees, and we are a far cry from that out there right now. We're at 26 degrees at O'Hare, 25 at the Chicago lakefront, 27 in Gary. We're at 20 in Valparaiso, down to the teens across the far west in places like DeKalb, and it's now 19 degrees in Rockford, 20 in Woodstock. Here's where we're headed over the next few hours. So temperatures for those of us that are still in the 20s going to be dropping down into the teens. I think by 6, 7, 8 p.m. or so, a lot of us are going to be in the upper teens by this point. But then notice that's actually going to be your low temperature for tonight, because then we start to see warming temperatures going into the early portion of tomorrow morning. So I think by daybreak for a lot of us, we're likely going to start the day in the mid-20s, and then we'll be on our way into the 30s during the afternoon. So a fairly seasonable day is going to be on tap for tomorrow. Same thing on Wednesday. But it is coming along with some precipitation, too. We're going to have a rain-snow mixture late in the day tomorrow, and then that's going to transition over to snow by Wednesday. Those details coming up.
If you're wondering why Metro is delayed, this is it. A train collided with a car in Hinsdale late this morning. The video shows the car stopped on Monroe Street tracks. The gate drops, and then the train hits the front of the car and pushes it into the grass. Police said the driver has very minor injuries. The crash disabled the train and slowed the BNSF line through the afternoon.
Frustration is boiling over in Brighton Park. Residents there say newly installed concrete bike lanes along Archer Avenue are causing major headaches, from traffic gridlock to concerns about emergency vehicles getting through. People in the neighborhood are protesting. Leslie Moreno is live with details. Leslie?
Terrence, good evening. Yeah, residents say they feel completely ignored. They say these concrete bike lanes are making their everyday harder, not safer. Tonight, community members will be gathering here outside Alderwoman Julia Ramirez's office here on Archer, demanding that those concrete lanes be removed. That protest kicks off at around 4:30 this evening. Residents say the concrete barriers installed along Archer Avenue have cut the roadway down to one lane each way. They say it's creating rush hour backups and raising fears that ambulances and fire trucks won't be able to get through. Residents are also arguing, saying it's hurting small businesses, limiting already tight street parking and making it harder for customers to stop by. Claudia Zuno, a resident, says while they support bike safety, this design just isn't working.
All these businesses are infuriated because it's bad enough they're dealing with the cost of inflation, ICE rates in our neighborhood, people are not going out to shop, and now we're limiting access to these businesses. So people cannot pull over to go to these restaurants, to these stores. You have to think twice if you want to go. So the sales have significantly dropped.
Residents say they just want the city to work with the community on a better and safer plan. We have reached out to Alderwoman Ramirez's office for comment. We are waiting to hear back. For now, reporting live here, Leslie Moreno, Fox 32 Chicago.
Jury selection began this morning in the federal trial. It involves a man shot by police on CTA. It happened at Grand Station in 2020. Former officer Melvina Bogard shot Ariel Roman during a struggle. She tried to issue him a citation first. Criminal charges were brought against her later. She was acquitted of aggravated battery and misconduct. But the Civilian Office of Police Accountability, however, found the shooting violated department policy and was unjustified. The trial is expected to last about 2 weeks.
Police are investigating a shooting involving a concealed carry holder on the south side. Sky Fox over 95th and Indiana. This is the scene this morning where police say a man found two people inside his car after they had broken in. They say the man says he shot a 17-year-old boy who allegedly flashed a gun. That person rushed to the hospital in fair condition. The second suspect reportedly got away. Chicago police responding to a deadly crash in the city's Logan Square neighborhood this morning. Police say two women in a black sedan were on West Diversey when the driver lost control, hit a parked car, then veered across the road and struck the rear end of a semi-truck. The passenger in the sedan died at the scene. The driver rushed to the hospital and tonight is in good condition. The truck driver wasn't hurt.
This afternoon, Indiana senators are weighing a plan to redraw the state's congressional district. Republicans hold 7 seats now, and the new map could shift the delegation to 9-0. The Senate sent the plan to the Elections Committee after a short session earlier today. The committee has a meeting for hours at this point, and more than 120 people signed up to testify. The House already passed the plan. The full Senate decides next after testimony wraps up at 5:30 today. Could Chicago be headed for a government shutdown? The mayor and 26 alders are far apart on a budget deal.
Now, if no deal is reached by year's end, city services could be paused. Political reporter Paris Schutz has the latest.
Yeah, Scott and Terrence, where have we heard this before? Congress, a little bit of Congress in action coming here to City Council. You know, it's never happened before in the city of Chicago, but City Council and the mayor have 3 weeks now to come to an agreement on a spending plan that has to close a $1.15 billion gap. And a group of alders met with the mayor's team over the weekend. They came out of that meeting no closer to a deal. The mayor today says it comes down to his vision with a corporate head tax and other taxes he says will primarily affect millionaires and billionaires versus 26 alders who have supported budget ideas that reject the corporate head tax, but they do include doubling of the garbage collection fee. And that is something Johnson says will hit working Chicagoans the hardest.
I don't believe anybody wants, a government shutdown. This would not be good for our city. And, the context in which we are working under right now is that working people every single day are struggling to make the ends meet. And so what I've said repeatedly, I'm always open to negotiate details and to find compromises along the way. But, doubling the garbage fee, collecting a grocery tax and some of the other regressive ideas that have been put forward. This budget, cannot reflect the sins of the past. So that's why, I've said I'm open to alternative forms of progressive revenue.
Part of those negotiations may include a change in the corporate head tax that would hit companies with 500 employees or fewer instead of 100 that are proposed right now. But the 26 alders say they don't want any corporate head tax. They say it's a jobs killer, and they say his entire budget relies too much on risky borrowing that could send the city's credit rating spiraling down into junk bond status. So these alders are seeking more cuts as well as higher liquor taxes and downtown congestion fees. After that meeting this weekend, Alderman Samantha Nugent wrote to her fellow council members, quote, "We cannot be a partner to a budget that will push Chicago over a financial cliff and wreak havoc on taxpayers of today and tomorrow. And as we approach the December 30th deadline to pass a budget that protects our economic future, we also cannot afford a Johnson-imposed shutdown taken straight from a page out of the Trump playbook." So, as you heard, they have until December 30th to get this budget or spending plan passed, or else, much like the federal government, there probably would be vital city services that keep functioning in a shutdown, but plowing the snow, cleaning the streets, I don't know. That might be something that gets paused. Scott?
Scary thought. Paris,
Yep.
Thank you for that. Let's go to Evanston, where Mayor Daniel Biss has penned a letter to the Trump administration expressing concerns about the settlement reached between Northwestern University and the Trump administration over claims of anti-Semitism. The letter is addressed to Education Secretary Linda McMahon. And it reads in part, quote, "As mayor of Evanston, the city that hosts Northwestern's main campus and bears the direct consequences of this agreement, I am writing to demand clarification of this deal and its impact on our community. The limited information released so far is unacceptable and has already created deep confusion and alarm across our community." Late last month, Northwestern, as we've reported, agreed to pay the Trump administration some $75 million in order to have its federal research grants restored. Nearly $800 million in federal funding was frozen after the Trump administration found the school failed to protect Jewish students during campus protests related to the war in Gaza. Under the deal, Northwestern's School of Medicine is barred from performing hormonal interventions and transgender surgeries on minor patients. However, the university said it has never performed those surgeries.
Tenants at an apartment building in South Shore have until Friday to move out. This morning, a judge denied a motion that would give them 60 days to move. People at Freedman Apartments have been asking for money to help them relocate. The building at 75th and South Shore is being foreclosed after federal agents raided it back in September. Some say they could wind up homeless.
We are in an emergency situation. Some of us are still stuck in this building. Some of us have been stuck in this building. Friday is our last day. the resources, they aren't enough.
Now residents are asking the community for help.
Oh, so close. No cigar, though. The Bears dropped a tough one against their rival, the Packers, after a costly interception in the end zone in the final seconds of the game.
Before the game, the Bears were the #1 seed in the conference. Now they're in danger of falling out of contention. Tina Nguyen is here to break it all down. Hey, Tina.
Yeah, guys, the Bears going from the 1 seed a week ago to now the 7 seed is just a reminder that the margin of error is very slim in the NFC. 7 times this season, the Bears have delivered a comeback, but yesterday in Green Bay, the magic finally ran out. Chicago dropped to 6-2 in one-score games, falling just short to the Packers, 28-21. It came down to the final play. 27 seconds left, trailing by 7. 4th and 1, Caleb Williams dropped back, rolled left, and looked for Cole Kmet in the end zone. Almost the exact same play that worked against the Eagles. This time, though, the pass was underthrown, and Green Bay's Keyshawn Nixon came away with the interception. The Bears' 5-game win streak comes to an end. And for head coach Ben Johnson, a reminder that against good teams, every little detail matters.
When you play good teams on the road, every little thing matters. All the details matter. We start off on offense with 2 penalties in the first 2 drives, and we don't overcome them. And so every little thing matters. And, we just didn't start well enough. I think to your point, you got to play and you got to utilize all 60 minutes of your brand of football. And we dug ourselves into a hole, and it certainly wasn't where we want to start that game.
No, it ain't no moral victories. We didn't get the job done, and I'm waking up still frustrated with that game. Looking at it, I don't think anybody needs to take this as a moral victory. We look at the scoreboard, we lost, and we ain't where we want to be. So it ain't no moral victories for that.
Bears 9-4 with 4 games remaining on the schedule, including Green Bay again on December 20th. Later in Sports at 5, Ben Johnson on what he can do to get the offense into a rhythm early on. Terrence and Scott.
All right, Tina, thank you. A major twist in the world of entertainment.
Yeah, Paramount now trying to buy Warner Brothers just days after it reached a massive deal with Netflix. Like Paramount says, its offer is much better.
Luigi Mangione back in court in his murder case. The new evidence prosecutors released.
And protests continue in New Orleans tonight as Border Patrol ramping up its immigration enforcement operation there. Keep it here. U.S. Customs and Border Protection is in the midst of immigration enforcement sweeps all over the New Orleans metro area.
All weekend protesters have been criticizing the operation as unconstitutional.
Sarah Allegre is live tonight in New Orleans. Sarah, what did you see over the weekend?
Well, Scott, Terrence, this weekend we saw the largest pushback here in the city of New Orleans. Both protesters, along with city leaders, they're demanding some clear answers from federal agents. The message from both sides, show us what's really happening here. So dozens of people took the streets of New Orleans this Saturday, even in the cold and rain, calling for federal agents to leave here. Now, at the same time, city leaders demanding more transparency. On Friday, the City Council laid out their demands, regular briefings on who's being stopped, why they're detained, and their criminal history. They also want agents to drop the mask and prove that federal authorities aren't targeting people based on looks.
We, of course, recognize federal law and federal enforcement authority, but we also stand here with an obligation to ensure that federal operations are conducted transparently, constitutionally, and with respect for local residents.
The DHS hasn't released a full list of who they've arrested in what they're calling Operation Catahoula Crunch, but they have given us names of criminals they describe as the worst of the worst here. For example, this Vietnamese national, he's been previously convicted of homicide, kidnapping, and aggravated assault. The DHS says he was sentenced to 40 years, but released because of the city's sanctuary policies. But not everyone here has been critical of the federal response. In fact, some locals say it's necessary.
Obviously, they're going to get a lot of hate, and obviously they're going to make a lot of mistakes, but their intention is right. I'm an immigrant. I'm from South Africa. I came here legally, in the legal way, in terms of my legal visa, and I did everything by the book.
Yeah, we're seeing some mixed reaction here. New Orleans City Council again calling this harmful and unnecessary, but different messaging from the state level. Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry thanking the president along with Homeland Security, saying this operation keeps citizens safe. In New Orleans, Sarah Allegre, Fox 32, Chicago.
The Trump administration is planning to expand the travel ban list to more than 30 countries. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem announced this over the weekend. Currently, citizens from 19 countries cannot travel to the U.S. Afghanistan, Somalia, Iran, and Haiti are already on that list. This decision comes after a man from Afghanistan shot 2 National Guard members in Washington, D.C. One of the Guard members died. Noem says President Trump is still deciding which countries to add.
President Trump expected to sign an executive order that is aimed at regulating the use of AI. Now, this order would prevent individual states from passing their own regulations on AI. Safety advocates and state lawmakers are warning that is the wrong move. In fact, hundreds of organizations have sent letters to Congress last month warning that a ban on regulation could help big tech companies avoid any liability, and that it would be difficult to enforce regulations on the national level because the technology is evolving so quickly. However, the White House insists it's about ensuring local lawmakers do not stifle innovation.
There are some states that want to regulate these companies within an inch of their lives, and then when they make a misstep, fine the heck out of them. That's a game that President Trump isn't going to allow people to play.
The president is expected to sign the executive order later this week.
Lawmakers in Washington are demanding the Pentagon release a video of a military strike on a drug boat in Venezuela. The strike happened in September. The U.S. military hit the boat twice. The first strike left 2 survivors. Some lawmakers called the second strike a double tap and want the video released. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth says the video is under review. Military leaders are deciding if releasing it will hurt the mission.
A couple folks that could still be in the fight, access to radios. There was a link-up point of another potential boat. I fully support that strike. I would have made the same call myself.
If the Pentagon and our defense secretary is so proud of what they're doing, let the American people see that video.
So far, the U.S. has carried out 22 strikes on alleged drug boats. Those strikes have killed at least 86 people. Hegseth says the strikes will continue. Israel and Hamas are moving closer to the next stage of the ceasefire. UN Ambassador Mike Waltz arrived in Israel Monday. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says the second phase can start when the last Israeli hostage's body is found in Gaza. But several big issues are still unsolved, like disarming Hamas.
We're about to finish the first stage. We're there, almost. But we have to make sure that we achieve the same results in the second stage.
We are open to have a comprehensive approach in order to avoid further escalations or in order to avoid any further clashes or explosions.
Netanyahu plans to meet with President Trump at the end of the month to talk about the next steps in the peace plan. Well, a bid to buy Warner Brothers Discovery has turned tense. Paramount has made a bid after Warner Brothers recently agreed to a deal with Netflix.
This is a major decision, and it might just reshape the entertainment industry as we know it. Ashley Dvorkin has more.
Paramount is launching a hostile takeover offer for media powerhouse Warner Brothers Discovery in an effort to outbid Netflix, which won a deal to buy the entertainment company on Friday.
We're taking our offer directly to shareholders because they deserve transparency and the ability to make an informed decision. Our proposal is superior to Netflix's in every dimension.
The offer is valued at over $108 billion, including debt. Unlike Netflix's bid, Paramount's includes cable television networks CNN and TNT. Paramount will appeal directly to Warner's shareholders, with an argument that its bid is more than what Netflix is offering, and more likely to get approval from the Trump administration.
There's no question about it. It could be a problem. They have a very big market share. And when they have Warner Brothers, that share goes up a lot.
President Trump, raising questions over Netflix's offer, says he will be involved in the decision. Hollywood unions and lawmakers are raising concerns over potential job cuts and higher prices for users. Many in the industry are also wondering what the streamer's long-term theatrical release strategy would be. But Netflix says their deal would drive value for consumers and shareholders, all while strengthening the entertainment industry.
This is a rare opportunity. It's going to help us achieve our mission to entertain the world and to bring people together through great stories.
Paramount's offer will expire on January 8th unless it gets extended. In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox 32 Chicago.
All right, let's get a check of your forecast as we take a live look outside. Emily, I heard today we have gotten more snow in the past couple days and weeks than we got all of last year, and more is on the way, right?
Yeah, very close to that number. So actually, last year in total, we had 17.6 inches of snow. We're at 17.1 now. Wow. So we're already coming up on what we had the entire snow season during the 2024-25 winter. So yes, it's been a very strong winter start for us, and actually the quickest start to our snow season that we've seen here in Chicago since 1978. So if you've been thinking that it's been awfully snowy, it has been. Temperatures out there right now sitting in the teens and mid-20s. Here's what it's feeling like once you tack on that breeze. We have wind chill temperatures for most of us that are sitting in the teens. Now, throughout the next few hours, most of us going to be dropping into the teens very briefly, and then we're going to start to see rising temperatures by midnight and then lasting into the early morning hours. So notice by 7 a.m. or so, a lot of us by this point are going to be in the mid to upper 20s. There is a chance that we'll see some scattered snow during the overnight, little to no accumulation with that. And then through the day tomorrow, high temperatures are going up into the low to mid 30s during the day. But then during the evening, these numbers are going to continue to rise. So I wouldn't be surprised if we end up finding our high temperatures tomorrow actually in the mid, maybe a couple locations sneaking into the upper 30s during the evening. But also notice what's going to be moving in by late afternoon into the evening hours. We're going to have a rain-snow mixture. The problem with this is that as this rain begins to move in, ground temperatures are going to be at or below the freezing mark, which means we could be dealing with some icing taking place during that afternoon, evening commute home. So make sure that you're paying very close attention to those road conditions tomorrow afternoon and evening. Again, if you do see some rain coming down, even if you're on your dashboard, you're seeing that the temperature is 32, 33, 34 degrees, just know that the ground temperatures are likely still going to be below that freezing mark. So again, freezing on contact is going to be possible. 5-day forecast for you. Tomorrow, 36 for your high. We're going to have snow showers around on Wednesday, falling temps. And then by Thursday and Friday, we're in the thick of it again. It's getting cold. We have temperatures down to the 20s and then single digits by Saturday morning. Wind chill temperatures could be as cold as 10 to 20 below to start off the weekend. Back to you.
You just have no good news.
I know, I don't. I have none.
All right, Emily, thanks. We are learning new details in the case against Luigi Mangione.
Up next, the evidence prosecutors revealed in court today. Prosecutors showed new evidence at Luigi Mangione's pretrial hearing. He is charged with shooting and killing the CEO of United Healthcare. Brian Thompson was killed last December outside a hotel in New York City. Kaylee Schuyler is in New York. Kaylee, what have we learned so far?
Hey, Taryn. So this was day 5 of the pretrial hearing, and it's expected to last well into the week. So far, we've heard from 9 witnesses, and with each day of court, we're expected to get more and more evidence revealed. Recently, we heard the 911 call of officers responding to a McDonald's in Altoona, Pennsylvania, to arrest Mangione.
I'm a manager at Plank Road McDonald's out here on the Boulevard. Okay. And I have a customer here that some other customers were suspicious of, that he looks like the CEO shooter from New York. Is this individual still there? Yes, he's still in the back of our lobby by the bathroom. He's wearing a black sweater jacket with a medical mask and a tan khaki-colored beanie.
Tomorrow will mark 1 year since police arrested Mangione after a 5-day manhunt. Evidence released over the weekend shows a picture of a Greyhound bus ticket issued to a Sam Dawson, one of the aliases prosecutors say Mangione used while on the run. There's also a piece of paper that authorities say is a checklist laying out Mangione's plans following the deadly shooting. Investigators say police found Mangione with a backpack, a 3D printed gun, and a notebook of writings as he was taken into custody. Today, an officer who searched Mangione in that Altoona McDonald's testified about the process of searching his bags and uncovering a gun. The judge in this case has decided that the prosecution and defense have to agree on which exhibits will be shown to the public. Mangione's defense attorneys are trying to have some evidence thrown out before his upcoming state trial. They argue police didn't have a warrant to search his backpack and say officers didn't read Mangione his Miranda rights for 20 minutes. But prosecutors say police didn't break any laws during the arrest. Now, Mangione has pleaded not guilty to state and federal murder charges. In New York, Kaylee Schuyler, Fox 32 Chicago.
A big earthquake hit northern Japan today. It was a 7.5 on the Richter scale. Small tsunami happened too, up to 28 inches high. More than 20 people got hurt. One person has serious injuries. Fallen objects caused most of those injuries. Officials say aftershocks may happen soon. This could last for several days. The situation is still developing right now. More fallout from President Trump's tariffs. The president is sending checks to farmers who have been hurt by his trade war. Now the president is defending his economic policies. And norovirus cases are spiking here in Illinois, while doctors say this specific strand is so contagious.
If you want total health care from a provider you trust,
Hi, Blair.
right in the palm of your hand, if you want soup, sweatpants, and zero in-person contact, if you want wellness wherever, our virtual primary care delivers with great website manner.
No worries.
So choose your doctor from our profiles and enjoy the healthiest online relationship you've ever had. House calls have evolved. Advocate Healthcare.
'Tis the season.
Now at the bottom of the hour, there are new concerns over immigration enforcement as Catholics gear up to celebrate the feast of Our Lady of Guadalupe.
President Trump sending a lifeline to farmers who have been heavily impacted by his global tariffs.
And it's not even mid-December. We've already had a ton of snow and cold recently. But, and I underline the word but, is it about to get warmer? I think Emily just said it's going to get colder. Okay, you going to explain this?
Yes. I sure am. Yes. Okay, so we have a brief, that's your key word, brief warm up is coming just in time for tomorrow and into your Wednesday. We're actually counting on temperatures that are going to be in the 30s for highs on Tuesday and Wednesday, which, by the way, is where we should be for this time of the year. Your average high temperature sits right around 38, 39 degrees, and we're going to be in the mid to upper 30s tomorrow and on Wednesday. but then the bottom's going to drop out again late this week. So let's take a visual look at this forecast temperatures for you. So notice what shade of color blue that we're in right now. It's a very light kind of icy blue, and as we know, it's very cold out there today. But then tomorrow into Wednesday, you see how we get into this darker shade, so it's not as cold. But then following Wednesday's storm system, we're going to have some very strong northwesterly winds. That's going to usher in much cooler air. Here comes that polar air mass by the end of this week, and then that's going to last into this upcoming weekend when low temperatures are going to be dropping down to near zero for most of us. High temperatures this weekend are only going to be in the teens, so very cold this weekend. However, a brief warm-up is in store. 36 degrees tomorrow. We'll have rain, possibly some ice developing tomorrow afternoon and evening with ground temperatures still below the freezing mark, and then we're transitioning back over to snow on Wednesday, and then for the most part, we're going to dry out on Thursday. Back to you.
Well, Catholics worldwide are gearing up for the Feast of Our Lady of Guadalupe. If you didn't know it, it's the largest gathering of its kind in the U.S., and it's right in our backyard.
Casey Cronus is live in Des Plaines with final preps and immigration concerns. Casey?
That's right, and this year some parishioners have said they are afraid to take part in the celebrations. But officials here at the Shrine of Our Lady of Guadalupe are reassuring them that this week's events will be safe and welcoming to all. And the pilgrimage has already begun, with worshipers visiting Our Lady of Guadalupe and leaving flowers in anticipation of the festivities. Celebrations are planned for this Thursday and Friday here in Des Plaines, and typically hundreds of thousands of people take part over the course of several days. Observed around the globe, the feast day commemorates the appearance of the Virgin Mary to Aztec Indian Juan Diego nearly 500 years ago, a particularly meaningful time for the faithful. Leaders at the shrine say, as always, they are working with local police to keep all guests safe and encourage visitors to do what's best for them amid ice concerns. One worshiper today says being here at the shrine is overwhelming in the most uplifting way.
Whatever human experience has come to us, this is a place where they can channel that energy, come to prayer, come together and say, we are not alone. We're going to deal with what's coming in 2026 with hope and faith.
No politics, no cold weather, nothing's going to stop us from coming to see her and thanking her for all her good deeds.
DHS Assistant Secretary Tricia McLaughlin tells us they do not target places of worship. Now, leaders here say they also understand the extreme cold might keep some away. They are streaming all masses and festivities later this week online so that anyone that cannot attend in person can still participate. Reporting live in Des Plaines, Casey Cronus, Fox 32, Chicago.
Teens across Chicago could lose their summer jobs this year. New budget proposal would cut jobs for 5,000 teenagers. It removes a surcharge that funds the summer job program. Community leaders met at City Hall to oppose this plan. They say the jobs help teens and make the city safer.
When communities have access to the resources they need, we all succeed. When young people are given opportunities, they grow into adults who contribute positively to the city. And when we reduce financial issues on everyday residents, we create a city where everyone has the chance to thrive.
Several studies show youth jobs can lower violence in the cities. Community organizers want city leaders to fund safe hiring sites. The program would protect migrant workers from immigration raids. It would give outdoor workers safer indoor work locations. Organizers asked the city for $500,000 in next year's budget. They say it's a small amount that would make a big difference.
It's one thing to be attacked by a federal agent on a public sidewalk. It's another thing if they have to enter a private area, a private property. So the idea is to reduce potential harm.
Organizers are still looking for locations to run the program. President Trump is giving $12 billion to farmers hurt by his trade war.
Lifeline coming after China stopped buying U.S. soybeans, making matters worse. Rebecca Castor has details.
Some welcome news for farmers who have struggled to sell their crops after President Trump raised tariffs on China. The White House is rolling out a $12 billion farm aid package to help keep them afloat.
This relief will provide much needed certainty to farmers as they get this year's harvest to market and look ahead to next year's crops.
Farmers growing row crops like soybeans, rice, and potatoes will receive a one-time payment, while aid for other farmers will be determined by market conditions.
The money will move by February 28th of 2026, but by the end of this month, every farmer that is able to apply for it will know exactly what that number looks like.
This is just one step the Trump administration is taking to show Americans it's focused on making life more affordable. The president recently signed an executive order creating a DOJ task force to rein in price fixing and bring down grocery bills. And he's taking his economic message on the road with an event in Pennsylvania on Tuesday.
The president has an amazing opportunity here with finally his opponents agreeing that affordability is the key issue.
But Democrats say it's the president's own policies causing chaos.
People are not stupid. Costs are not down. They're going up. The president has even said affordability is a scam. What kind of bubble does he live in?
With recent polls showing more Americans feel negatively about the economy, it's an uphill climb for President Trump to show his actions are working. At the White House, Rebecca Castor, Fox 32 Chicago.
FBI Chicago looking out for the so-called bird. He's on the division's most wanted list.
The new reward the agency is offering for information.
And up next, I'm speaking with a doctor from Rush Medical Center about a rash of norovirus cases here in the state and why this current strain is spreading fast.
Life.
Welcome back. Well, it's that time of year where it's not just the holiday cheer that's spreading. The CDC tracking widespread norovirus outbreaks, and that includes right here in Illinois. And making headlines, nearly 100 passengers sickened on a cruise ship heading to the U.S. from Europe. Joining me now, Dr. David Wynn, an infectious disease expert at Rush. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
I just want to caution people who hear norovirus and maybe they say to themselves, well, I'm never going on a cruise. I don't have to worry about it. You don't have to go on a cruise. I ended up in the ER after getting it. Yes, I was traveling, but I was never on a boat. And it is no joke. What can you tell our viewers about this current strain that is circulating?
Well, I don't know about specifics about the current strain being any more virulent, but and I'm not sure it actually is, but norovirus is unfortunately very common, very contagious, and that's probably why we see it more on cruises, because it's kind of a, if you think about it as a close quarters kind of environment, and you're around a lot of people, so it's easier to spread on there. But you're absolutely right. People can get norovirus in a variety of settings, and it is probably the most common foodborne illness out there.
And it's the holidays, and we know, Doctor, that this time of year people do tend to get it. And in its simplest terms, is it just a simple case of people just not being careful enough when it comes to washing their hands and handling food?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably that is the simplest way to put it. It is, like I said, it's foodborne, but it's also can be on surfaces contaminated through infectious fluids, and the best way to prevent it is to make sure you're washing your hands, make sure you're washing food properly, thoroughly, cooking food, and yeah, you might even have to forego those raw oysters if that's your thing, because they might be carrying the virus.
Okay, so a lot of us are going to be attending holiday parties. We're going to be going to friends and family. You mentioned the oysters. If we're doing our due diligence and we're trying to be careful with our hygiene, are there any other red flags if you, doctor, were in a group setting that you'd be on the lookout for where you might say, oh, that's a red flag for me?
Oh, well, it's pretty tough. I mean, it's not like, unfortunately, norovirus infected food may not look or taste different than, other food. But as best as you can, control what you can control, clean your hands. If somebody is sick around in the setting, maybe that's a time to just ask them to reevaluate, and ask them if they prepared any of the food and all that kind of stuff, because they probably should be avoiding doing that.
Real quick, because we're out of time, give me a symptom. We know there's cramping involved, there's diarrhea, there's vomiting. When is it time to go to the doctor, seek medical attention? Real quick.
Well, definitely the time to see the doctor is when you feel like you aren't being able to keep up with your fluids. Otherwise, it is for most people, norovirus is pretty self-limiting, so you can probably try and manage it at home.
Dr. David Wynn from Rush, thanks so much for joining us on short notice. Appreciate it.
No problem.
Award season heating up. The Golden Globes are out. The nominations, that is. Big names getting international recognition. And yeah, it's cold out there, but as Emily just told us, we're getting a little bit of a warm-up. She's got the deets when we come back.
All right, the air outside is just petty, disrespectful, and it is fully committed. But it's going to warm up. It's going to feel tropical almost if it's in the 40s, upper 30s?
Well, upper 30s.
Okay.
However, you know, I know that sounds really nice. That's actually going to happen during the evening when a lot of us aren't going to be out and about. So tomorrow's daytime highs are probably only going to be in the lower 30s. We're not hitting that mid to upper 30s until later in the evening.
Okay.
I know. It doesn't really do us any good, right? So we have a lot to talk about when it comes to your Tuesday forecast into Wednesday, because we do have a storm system that's likely going to be coming in, bringing us rain and a wintry mix late Tuesday and then into early Wednesday morning before we transition back over to all snow. But because road temperatures, ground temperatures are below the freezing mark, if that precipitation moves in tomorrow afternoon, when temperatures are still right around 32, 33 degrees, and then even as those temps begin to slowly rise, it's going to take a little bit for those road temperatures and the ground temperatures to follow suit with the warmer air that's building in. So I say all that to say that icing is going to be possible if we end up seeing some of that rain coming down Tuesday afternoon into the evening hours. So that's really going to be something to watch if you're going to be on the roadways Tuesday evening. Again, we could be dealing with some ice on the roads. And then on Wednesday, we're getting back to seeing snow showers. Temperatures begin to drop during the afternoon. And then the really cold stuff, that's moving back in late this week. By Saturday, we have highs that are only going to be in the teens. And typically for this time of the year, your average high is still right around 38 degrees. Satellite and radar, we do have snow off to our north. Not really going to be much of an issue for us. Small chance for a couple snow showers coming through tonight. But again, the main weather story really is going to be for tomorrow's storm system. Temperatures warm into the 30s. We'll have rain, a wintry mix, and then even a little bit of snow going to be possible near the Wisconsin state line. That's going to breeze through. Then we're on the backside of this low pressure system through the day on Wednesday. We're going to start to see those falling temperatures. And then we're going to see scattered snow showers as well. So some of those snow showers could briefly be heavy on Wednesday. That too could be impacting both your morning and your afternoon commute. For tonight, 18 degrees, and then we will rise into the mid-20s by the time the sun comes up tomorrow morning. We're in the mid-30s for your highs Tuesday. Same thing on Wednesday. Snow showers on Wednesday, Thursday, and also into Friday. Even on Saturday, I've added some snow to the forecast now with high temperatures just barely in the teens by Saturday and Sunday.
Stream.
Well, so many of you have been busy buying presents for your kids for the holidays, but opening those gifts will have to wait.
Yeah, Talker Research asked parents where they hide the gifts. Many hide them in closets, bedrooms, cars, basements, or garages. Others get creative and hide them at a friend's house, in suitcases, or at work. That's a good idea. Some parents buy fake gifts to confuse their kids too. And about half of parents hide gifts so well they themselves forget where they put them. Some even having to buy the same gift twice because they can't find it.
You've been a miserable drip lately. No, I haven't. Really enjoying being by myself right now. I'll see you next week. I love you, bud.
Merv, are you okay?
Don't want to play fetch. Don't want cuddles.
Dogs are very sensitive to anything that throws their routine, like a breakup.
You think Merv is depressed because we broke off?
The new rom-com Merv hits Prime Video this Wednesday. Zoe Deschanel and Charlie Cox play exes brought back together by their dog.
Yeah, Jake Hamilton spoke with the stars about how all dogs make movies better. They do. His own pup and the Christmas movie of Zoe's we're all watching right now.
I just came back from doing a film in Chicago.
Oh, how long were you here for? Did you enjoy your time?
Yeah, it was great. I was there for like a month.
Oh, it's weird. My phone never rang.
I'm sorry. I meant to text you. I was just so busy.
Okay, Merv, I have something to tell you. The thing is, me and Russ broke up. You're gonna be okay.
I don't normally start out interviews this way, but since in the spirit of the movie, I was going to introduce you. This is my girl. This is Daenerys.
Oh
So
my God, she's so cute.
There's my little sweet girl. I'd love to know what is a project of yours that, if you think about it, if Merv were a part of the cast, it might have been a little bit better.
It's something we've done. I think Merv would make most of my projects slightly better.
I agree. Name one. I mean, they're all better with Gus.
Zoe, do you think that things would have worked out differently for Tom and Summer if Merv had been around?
Yeah,
wow,
I
good
do.
question.
Yeah, great question.
It
Yes,
might have been just the straw that broke the camel's back.
I ought to say no, no, no.
Mind if I move in? Zoe, obviously over the last 2 decades, you've become a part of so many of our family's traditions because of Elf, and I was wondering, just when actors who are a part of those classic Christmas films, if they ever allow their film to be a part of their own traditions, like, is there ever a situation where your family would gather together to watch Elf?
Well, it's never really been a thing before, but my daughter asked to watch it this year, and I was like, yeah. I mean, I'm not going to sit myself and watch it.
When was the last time you saw it?
I saw it at the premiere, and that's the only
You've
time
not
I
seen
ever
it since the premiere? Can I tell you something?
What?
It's really good. And you're really good at it.
I've seen clips from it. It looks good.
You probably know that movie, like, everyone in the world knows it better than you.
Yes, that's for sure. I mean, I remember making it. but when I saw, and you know what's funny is at the premiere, I had to run to the restroom and missed my whole, like, singing in the shower scene. So,
on purpose?
No,
you
I
need
just
to go to the
had to
restroom,
go to the bathroom. So I left and I came back and I was like, darn, it's over. And I know I've seen that clip a lot. So that's probably the part I've seen the most. But yeah.
Watch it every year at my house. Thanks for watching the news at 4. Here's what we're working on for 5. Unfortunately, this is a bummer Monday for Bears fans. A tough loss to the Packers on the road, but the rematch is right around the corner.
This video will send chills down your spine. A Metro train crashes into a car in Hinsdale.
A man on the FBI's most wanted list here in Chicago has been on the run for 2 years now. We've got an update on the search for him. Thanks for joining us at 5. I'm Scott Schneider.
And I'm Terrence Lee. Dawn has the night off.
So weather starts us off, and there are changes brewing. We want to, as we look live outside, it's absolutely gorgeous out there. We got some sunshine today, Emily. It was welcome to us, and I think this little warm-up you're talking about is welcome news as well.
It is, but it's very brief. So we're going to be warming up into the 30s here over the next couple of days. Tuesday and Wednesday going to be the warm days of this week. And 30s, by the way, that's where we should be. for this time of December, but it's going to crash down later this week. Temperatures back down into the 20s, then eventually teens this upcoming weekend. Your temperatures right now ranging everywhere from about 14 degrees in Aurora, 15 in DeKalb, 24 at O'Hare, 23 in Gary. It's 18 degrees currently in Valparaiso, 23 in Waukegan, and we're at 15 degrees in Woodstock. Most areas going to find low temperatures in the teens, but then notice going into about the midnight hour and then definitely into the early morning hours of tomorrow, we're starting to see those temperatures rising. So we're going to be in the mid-20s when we wake up tomorrow morning, warming into the 30s, I think, for a lot of us by about 10 a.m. Eventually, we'll find highs in the mid to upper 30s, but it is going to be coming along with rain, a wintry mix, and then even some snow Tuesday night into Wednesday. Those details coming up.
If you're wondering why a Metro is delayed, this is it. A train collided with a car in Hinsdale late this morning. The video shows the car stopped on the Monroe Street tracks and the gates drop. And then, as you see, the train hits the front of the car and pushes it into the grass. Police say the driver has very minor injuries. The crash disabled the train and slowed the BNSF line through the afternoon.
Police investigating a shooting involving a concealed carry holder on the south side. Sky Fox over the scene. This is from this morning, 95th and Indiana, where police say a man found two people in his car. They had allegedly broken in. They say the man says that he shot a 17-year-old boy who allegedly flashed a gun. Now, that person was rushed to the hospital in fair condition. The second suspect reportedly got away. The federal civil rights trial involving a man shot by police on the CTA begins today with jury selection. The case centering on Ariel Roman, who was shot by former police officer Melvina Bogard during a struggle back in 2020 at Grant Station. Now, she tried issuing him a citation. Initially, criminal charges were brought against her later on. She was acquitted of aggravated battery and misconduct. However, COPA found the shooting violated department policy and was, in fact, unjustified. The trial is expected to last about 2 weeks.
Prosecutors have released never-before-seen evidence at the pretrial hearing for murder suspect Luigi Mangione. He's accused of shooting and killing United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson last December outside a hotel in New York City.
Katie Schuyler joining us live from New York. Kaylee, what have you learned so far?
Hey, Terrence and Scott. So this was day 5 of the pretrial hearing, and it's expected to last well into the week. So far, 9 people have testified, and each day of court, we're expected to see more and more evidence. Recently, we just heard the 911 call of officers responding to a McDonald's in Altoona, Pennsylvania, to arrest Mangione.
I'm a manager at Plank Road McDonald's out here on the Boulevard. Okay. And I have a customer here that some other customers were suspicious of, that he looks like the CEO shooter from New York. Is this individual still there? Yes, he's still in the back of our lobby by the bathroom. He's wearing a black sweater jacket with a medical mask and a tan khaki-colored beanie.
Tomorrow will mark 1 year since police arrested Mangione after a 5-day manhunt. Evidence released over the weekend shows a picture of a Greyhound bus ticket issued to a Sam Dawson, one of the aliases prosecutors say Mangione used while on the run. There's also a piece of paper that authorities say is a checklist laying out Mangione's plans following the deadly shooting. Investigators say police found Mangione with a backpack, a 3D printed gun, and a notebook of writings as he was taken into custody. Today, an officer who searched Mangione in that Altoona McDonald's testified about the process of searching his bags and uncovering a gun. The judge in this case has decided that the prosecution and defense have to agree on which exhibits will be shown to the public. Mangione's defense attorneys are trying to have some evidence thrown out before his upcoming state trial. They argue police didn't have a warrant to search his backpack and say officers didn't read Mangione his Miranda rights for 20 minutes. But prosecutors say police didn't break any laws during the arrest. Now, Mangione has pleaded not guilty to state and federal murder charges. In New York, Kaylee Schuyler, Fox 32 Chicago.
A bill creating a new congressional map in Indiana taking center stage today. The House passing the map last week, which is now set to give Republicans all of the state's congressional seats. Right now, the GOP has a 7-2 advantage. Today, the Senate will begin the process of meeting over the map. A vote is expected before the end of the day.
Could Chicago be headed for a government shutdown? The mayor and 26 alders are far apart on a budget deal.
Now, if no deal is reached by year's end, city services could be paused. Political reporter Paris Schutz has the latest.
Yeah, Terrence and Scott, it's never happened before in the city of Chicago, but City Council and Mayor have 3 weeks now to come to an agreement on a spending plan that has to close a $1.15 billion gap. Now, a group of alders met with the mayor's team over the weekend. They came out of it no closer to any deal. The mayor today says it comes down to his vision of a corporate head tax and other taxes he says will primarily affect millionaires and billionaires versus 26 alders who have supported budget ideas that reject the corporate head tax, instead doubling the garbage collection fee. That is something Johnson says will only hit working Chicagoans.
I don't believe anybody wants, a government shutdown. This would not be good for our city. And, the context in which we are working under right now is that working people every single day are struggling to make the ends meet. And so what I've said repeatedly, I'm always open to negotiate details and to find compromises along the way. But, doubling the garbage fee, collecting a grocery tax and some of the other regressive ideas that have been put forward. This budget, cannot reflect the sins of the past. So that's why, I've said I'm open to alternative forms of progressive revenue.
Now, one of those compromises could be on the corporate head tax, which the mayor has signaled some openness to raising it to companies with 500 employees or more. Right now, it would affect companies with 100 employees. Now, 26 alders in opposition say they don't think any corporate tax should be in there. They think it's a jobs killer, and they say his entire budget relies too much on risky borrowing that could send the bond rating into junk status. Now, after this meeting, aldermen like Silvana Tabares and Samantha Nugent wrote their fellow council members saying, quote, "We cannot be a partner to a budget that will push Chicago over a financial cliff and wreak havoc on taxpayers of today and tomorrow. And as we approach the December 30th deadline to pass a budget that protects our economic future, we also cannot afford a Johnson-imposed shutdown," taken straight from a page out of the Trump playbook. So this is a game of chicken going on here, much like has happened in Congress in recent years. We do understand that vital city service would likely continue during a shutdown, but right now they have until December 30th to enact some sort of spending plan. Terrence?
All right, Paris, thank you. Some people in Brighton Park are really fed up.
Yeah, residents there say newly installed concrete bike lanes along Archer are causing some big-time headaches, from traffic gridlock to concerns about emergency vehicles getting through.
Many in the neighborhood are protesting. Leslie Moreno is live with details. Leslie?
Hey, good evening. Yeah, you can see people have started to gather here behind me with signs, chanting, protesting against those bike lanes. You can see the biking community is also here across the street, counter-protesting this protest here. Residents tell me they feel completely ignored. They say the bike lanes are making everyday life harder, not safer. Tonight, community members are here rallying outside Alderwoman Julia Ramirez's office on Archer, demanding those concrete lanes that were installed a couple months ago be removed. Residents say the concrete barriers installed along Archer Avenue have cut the roadway down to 1 lane each. They say it's creating rush hour backups and raising fears that ambulances and fire trucks won't be able to get through. Residents also argue it's hurting small businesses, limiting already tight street parking and making it harder for customers to stop by. Claudia Zuno, a resident here, says they support bike safety, but this design just isn't working.
Remove it. You need to remove them. You made a mistake. This is not right for our community. Remove them. They need to go. This is going to cause long-term more headache, more cost to all of us, and it just doesn't make sense. It's not for this community. Bike lanes, convert boulevards into bike lanes. Boulevards are 8 lanes. Western Avenue has 8 lanes. Give 2 to the bikes. There's other ways you can do it.
And residents say they just want the city to work with the community on a safer and better plan. We have reached out to Alderwoman Ramirez's office for comment. We have not heard back yet. We will have more on this coming up tonight at 9. For now, reporting live here in Brighton Park, Leslie Moreno, Fox 32 Chicago.
Leslie, thank you. Construction on the State Lake L station won't start until next month, but prep work begins today. That means the eastbound lanes on Lake between State and Wabash will be closed on and off during off-peak hours. When the station officially closes for construction January 5th, that area will be limited to local traffic. The CTA station will not reopen for about 3 years.
Now to heartbreak that unfortunately is all too familiar to Bears fans, especially when it comes to Green Bay.
Yeah, the team's ride atop of the NFC has come to an end. Tina is here. Tina, all the hope is not lost. There's still time to bounce back.
Yeah, and by the way, they'll face Green Bay in less than 2 weeks here. Ben Johnson and the Bears digging into the film today. Final score wasn't what they wanted, but quarterback Caleb Williams continues to put this team in a position to win games. The tale of two halves for the Bears and Williams. The offense started slow, but in the second half, found a rhythm, scoring on 3 straight drives, erasing an 11-point deficit at the half. Williams' ability to extend plays under pressure really showed up, leading to a pair of touchdown passes and giving the Bears a shot late. Ben Johnson says the focus now is finding ways to tap into that spark earlier.
Man, how can I best serve him to get him in a rhythm early in games so where we can have some strong starts to the first half? And I just want to hit the ground running a little bit better than what we have been. We talked a week ago about the passing game needing to improve, and that first half we didn't quite make the strides that we had hoped for over the course of the week.
We shot ourselves in the foot, I think, more than anything, and so I think that's where the frustration comes from. We had a great shot early in the game with the interception. Defense doing a good job, and then we kind of let them get going, and they put up some points on the board, and we had to try and rally it, and it's not always going to work in our favor.
Well, coming up later in sports, do the Bears feel any more victories after this one? Also hear what ESPN's Mike Greenberg had to say about the Bears and Caleb Williams. You don't want to miss it. Terrence and Scott.
All right, Tina, thank you. Catholics from all over the country are preparing to celebrate the Feast of Our Lady of Guadalupe.
Yeah, we're live in Des Plaines where final preparations are now underway.
And President Trump's trade war hits farmers hard. Now he's offering them a bailout.
It appears tonight Ukrainian peace talks are hanging by a thread. President Trump says he is not happy with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's response to the latest American peace proposal. And there were indications over the weekend that the president is preparing to walk away from the talks if they remain stalled. Despite the diplomatic back and forth, the White House says it is close to making a final deal. That said, the Ukrainians say there are still major sticking points.
The American envoys are aware of Ukraine's core positions, and the conversation was constructive, though not easy.
As for the Kremlin, it says it still wants, quote, radical changes to the agreement, including the annexation of much of eastern Ukraine, a concession already ruled out by Zelensky. Israel and Hamas, meanwhile, getting closer to the next phase of the ceasefire. However, officials are warning the second stage could be just as challenging as the first. Several key issues remain unresolved tonight, including the disarming of Hamas. However, over the weekend, a senior Hamas official said the group is ready to discuss freezing or storing its weapons as part of the ceasefire.
We are open to have a comprehensive approach in order to avoid further escalations, or in order to avoid any further clashes or explosions.
There are also concerns about the deployment of an international security force in Gaza. Several countries, including Indonesia, have offered to contribute troops to the operation, but the group's exact makeup and responsibilities have yet to be defined. Here at home, the mayor of Evanston reaching out to the Trump administration after a deal was reached between Northwestern University and the White House to restore funding. Now, last month, as we reported, Northwestern agreed to pay the Trump administration $75 million to settle claims of anti-Semitism. And in return, the White House would unfreeze $800 million in federal research grants. However, in a letter, Mayor Daniel Biss says he needs more information on the settlement. That letter addressed to the Department of Education Secretary Linda McMahon and says in part, quote, we still do not have a full accounting of what your department has required, what oversight you intend to exercise, or how these actions will affect the people of Evanston. Given the unprecedented nature of this intervention, ambiguity is not an option.
We still don't know President Trump's plan to regulate the use of AI, but he said there's at least one move he will not allow.
And that is state and local officials passing their own regulations. Jared Halpern is at the White House to explain.
President Trump is promising a new executive order aimed at regulating artificial intelligence. It all goes back to the One Big Beautiful Bill, which contained a ban on AI regulation at the state level. Lawmakers took that out after bipartisan concerns about safety. Now President Trump says he'll push for a new national standard, writing on social media, quote, we are beating all countries at this point in the race, but that won't last long if we are going to have 50 states, many of them bad actors, involved in rules and the approval process. The White House says it's about making sure local lawmakers don't stifle innovation.
There are some states that want to regulate these companies within an inch of their lives, and then when they make a misstep, fine the heck out of them. That's a game that President Trump isn't going to allow people to play.
But safety advocates and state lawmakers say that's the wrong move. Hundreds of organizations sent letters to Congress last month raising alarms about the possibility that a ban on regulation could help big tech companies avoid liability. And some experts say it will be extremely difficult to enforce regulations on the national level because the technology is evolving so quickly.
We don't necessarily have the technological means to do all these things. And it's nice to talk about regulations, but no one actually gives a solid plan of how it actually should be done.
President Trump is expected to sign that new executive order later this week. At the White House, Jared Halpern, Fox 32, Chicago.
Netflix is now in a bidding war over Warner Brothers' Discovery. Last week, Warner Brothers announced an exclusive $72 billion deal with Netflix. But now, Paramount has gone straight to the stockholders of Warner Brothers, offering to buy their shares and get control of the studio. Paramount says they're offering $17 billion more dollars than what Netflix paid for. That would be $30 per share. Netflix's purchase of Warner Brothers still isn't final, as the government needs to sign off. Illinois is the country's #1 soybean producer, and it was hit hard by President Trump's tariffs. In October, Governor Pritzker even declared an agricultural export crisis. He said farmers were left with losses of $100 to $200 per acre because soybean prices fell below break-even levels. And China, which bought more than $1 billion of soybeans last year, hasn't been buying as much, instead turning to Argentina. Well, now the White House is throwing a $12 billion lifeline to the nation's farmers. It's not going to everyone, though. Farmers growing row crops, I should say, like soybeans, rice, and potatoes, will get a one-time payment. Aid for other farmers will be determined by market conditions.
The money will move by February 28th of 2026, but by the end of this month, every farmer that is able to apply for it will know exactly what that number looks like.
But not all $12 billion is going out at once. $1 billion is being held back initially, even though it will eventually go to help cover specialty crop expenses. All right, that cold outside is bold, real bold. Emily, what's the latest?
Cold is bold. You're not wrong there. It is very cold out there again this evening. We have temperatures for a lot of us that are ranging from the teens into the 20s. And for those of you in Aurora, down to 6 degrees. But keep in mind that reading is coming from the airport in Sugar Grove, where it's very rural. It's actually a low-lying area. So that's why it always shows up here quite a bit cooler than the immediately surrounding areas. So downtown Aurora is likely a little bit warmer, similar to those outlying areas that you see around the Aurora reading there, putting it in the teens. Futurecast temperatures taking us throughout the rest of this evening. We're going to start to see rising temps after about midnight. So we will technically bottom out in the teens for a lot of us. And then by daybreak tomorrow, we're going to be in the mid to upper 20s after a couple spotty snow showers do move through during the overnight. Little to no accumulation expected. High temperatures tomorrow going to be, at least during the day, in the low to mid 30s. But then during the evening hours, we're going to see temperatures likely rising into the mid, maybe even sneaking into the upper 30s. But we're really going to have to watch for icing concerns tomorrow afternoon and evening, because as this rain begins to build in, ground temperatures are still going to be below the freezing mark. So again, any untreated surfaces tomorrow during that evening commute, if you're driving home through rain, just know that it could very well get very icy quickly. Wednesday, scattered snow showers, 36 degrees. We dropped to the 20s late this week, and then we are down to near zero by Friday night into Saturday. We'll be right back.
across American Louisiana with yet another jailbreak. Only this time, 3 men managed to escape.
Yeah, those 3 broke out of St. Landry Parish Jail last week, and so far 2 of them have been caught. The 3rd is still out there. Police say the men removed concrete blocks from a deteriorating wall. The inmate still on the run is facing a second-degree murder charge. You may remember earlier this year, 10 inmates escaped from a jail in New Orleans. It took 5 months to recapture all of them.
Now to New York, where a supermarket employee is facing arson charges after police say he set a fire right in the middle of the store. And making things worse, it was the day before Thanksgiving. The place was packed. The fire started on a paper goods shelf, and it spread quickly. One customer saved the day. He ran, grabbed a fire extinguisher, and went to work. The fire still caused, though, about $100,000 in damage.
Hawaii's Mount Kilauea continues to put on a show. Over the weekend, lava fountains reached heights of 1,200 feet, lasted for just over 12 hours. Cameras captured this volcanic eruption, but watch what happens next. The camera, gets destroyed in the process. This volcano is on the Big Island, one of the world's most active ones at that. This is the 38th series of eruptions since last December.
A member of the New York Knicks can add babysitter to the resume. This is guard Josh Hart. Checked out of the game on Sunday, holding his young one on the bench when the coach suddenly decided to throw him back in with 19 seconds left. Hart quickly handed his son to a teammate, Mitchell Robinson, and then went back on the court. Hart's only contribution during that final stretch was committing a foul. The Knicks, though, would go on to win the game.
Well, this race is almost too cute to crown a winner. This was the baby race at the University of Central Florida over the weekend, and it's not hard to guess who wins. That's Leo. He's off to the races since started. He got a little distracted in the middle, but rallied through to win the race.
Move over Gene Simmons because this is Aussie, lives in Oklahoma, and he has an interesting title, according to our friends at the Guinness Book of World Records. He has the longest tongue, at least on a dog, just under 8 inches in length. And usually it's just hanging out of his mouth. He beat the previous record holder, who was actually a dog from Bloomington, Illinois, by 3 whole inches. Aussie's owners say there's nothing medically wrong with him. The vets say it's just abnormally and awkwardly long.
Still ahead on the news at 5. Do you understand how your pet is feeling?
We look into new research finding pet owners might be misreading their pet's emotions.
I was baking.
Now at the bottom of the hour, hundreds of thousands of faithful Catholics from all over the world are preparing to make the pilgrimage to Des Plaines.
If you're sick of the snow, a warm-up is headed our way. Should take care of most of it for now.
But first, FBI Chicago on the hunt for the so-called Bird, one of several fugitives on the division's most wanted list.
Dave Blackwell explains why they are offering a $10,000 reward for information leading to his arrest.
You can call him Bird or Little Bird, but his real name is Gary Llewellyn. He's wanted by FBI Chicago for his part in a violent carjacking spree that happened in early 2023.
I have almost 14 years experience working violent crimes, and this case really stood out to me. One, the brazenness, middle of the day, public areas, shopping centers, gas stations. The use of real firearms, the use of firearms with extended magazines, with switches to make them automatic weapons.
Special Agent Dustin Gorley is the acting supervisor for FBI Chicago's Violent Crime Fugitive Task Force.
These individuals would pull up and point firearms directly at their victims, make verbal threats to harm them, and point the firearm literally directly at these victims. So incredibly scary, incredibly violent.
Gorley says Llewellyn is one of 4 men charged with committing a string of 4 carjackings. 3 of them took place on Chicago's South Side, 1 in Dalton. While his co-defendants have been arrested, Llewellyn is still on the run.
He's charged with multiple counts of carjacking, multiple counts of violating the Hobbs Act, which is essentially the federal armed robbery statute, as well as brandishing a firearm during a felony offense.
Agents say Llewellyn is originally from the Calumet Park area and has family in Chicago and the south suburbs. Despite being on the run for the last 2 years, and with only a few tips to go on, they still believe he's in the Chicago area.
So now we're coming to the public and say, please help us. We could use your help. We need everyone's help. The goal of this is to take him into custody safely, and that's our priority for his safety and for our safety.
Investigators would like you to take a good look at Gary Llewellyn's photo again. He's described as a black male, 24 years old, about 6 feet tall, weighing around 160 pounds, with brown eyes and black hair. And he is considered armed and dangerous. If you see him, call police. Dane Placco, Fox 32 Chicago.
Aurora police are asking for help finding a suspect in an early morning shooting. The department just released these photos you see here. Police say it happened just before 4 this morning at the mobile gas station on Broadway. A 49-year-old man was pumping gas when police say the suspect walked up and shot him. The man was hit several times. He is stable tonight. The police chief is calling this a brazen and unprovoked act of violence. Anyone with information is asked to call Aurora police. The family of a fallen Illinois state trooper was just gifted a mortgage-free home. Clay Cards was killed last year. The day before Christmas Eve, he was removing debris along I-55 when he was hit by a car. He left behind a wife and 2 children, and now the Tunnel to Towers Foundation has given the family a new home with no mortgage. His wife Megan says it takes all the burden and worry from her when it comes to providing for her children a wonderful home in a safe neighborhood.
Community organizers are pushing city leaders to help fund safe hiring sites. Now, this program would help protect migrant workers from immigration enforcement operations and would also provide those who typically work outdoors with safer indoor locations to work. Organizers are asking the city to set aside $500,000 in next year's budget, which they say is a small amount to help make a big difference.
It's one thing to be attacked by a federal agent on a public sidewalk. It's another thing if they have to enter a private area, a private property. So the idea is to reduce potential harm.
Organizers are currently working to find safe locations to house this program. While Operation Midway Blitz has been significantly scaled back here in Chicago, that doesn't mean that federal agents are gone. In fact, an ICE operation in Elgin is drawing plenty of controversy. You're looking at video from over the weekend showing protesters lined up near agents during immigration enforcement operations in the city. Eventually, agents deployed tear gas on those protesters. City officials say 7 people were hurt. We're also seeing the immigration enforcement in New Orleans ramping up, but agents are being met With plenty of resistance, dozens of protesters hitting the streets calling for federal agents to leave. At the same time, city leaders are demanding more transparency. They want regular briefings on who's being stopped, why they're being detained, and information on any criminal history. They also want agents to drop the masks. Sound familiar? And proof that federal authorities are not targeting people based on how they look.
We, of course, recognize federal law and federal enforcement authority, but we also stand here with an obligation to ensure that federal operations are conducted transparently, constitutionally, and with respect for local residents.
While dozens of arrests have been made, DHS is hoping to nab 5,000 people. New Orleans city leaders are calling the operation both harmful and unnecessary. Senior state officials are fully on board.
In the northwest suburbs, there are concerns immigration enforcement activity will keep worshipers from celebrating the Feast of Our Lady of Guadalupe.
Largest gathering of its kind anywhere in the U.S., and it's held in Des Plaines. Casey Cronus is live at the shrine with details. Casey.
And you mentioned it, although Operation Midway Blitz has largely fallen quiet, there are still federal agents working in the city and suburbs. And because of that, some worshipers are hesitant to show out this week. But leaders here at the shrine say safety is their top priority. Typically, hundreds of thousands of people take part in the festivities over the course of several days. Celebrations are planned for this Thursday and Friday, but the pilgrimage has already begun, with worshipers visiting Our Lady of Guadalupe and leaving flowers in anticipation of the celebration. Observed around the globe, the feast day commemorates the appearance of the Virgin Mary to Aztec Indian Juan Diego nearly 500 years ago, a particularly meaningful time for the faithful. Worshipers today are sharing why taking part each year is so special to them.
It's a feeling it's unbelievable. You know, I can go to church, which is good, you know, but when I come over here, it's so strong. I went to visit my wife. Of course, she's over in the cemetery next to us, right? You know, I got to remember everybody that's up in heaven today. So it's a special day for me.
No politics, no cold weather. Nothing's going to stop us from coming to see her and thanking her for all her good deeds.
Assistant Secretary Tricia McLaughlin with the Department of Homeland Security tells us in a statement that they do not target places of worship. Now, officials here understand that some people may not be able to brave the cold temperatures. That's why all of this week's events will be live streamed for anyone at home to take part. Reporting live in Des Plaines, Casey Cronus, Fox 32, Chicago.
I don't want to speak for anybody else, but my mind was blown last hour when you informed us that we have had almost as much snow already in early December as we had all of last winter.
That's right, all of last year. And this is actually the quickest start to the snow season that we've seen since 1978. So far this season, we've packed up about 17.1 inches at O'Hare. Last year, in total, we were about 17.6 inches. So we're almost there, and we're just still only, what, 2 weeks into the month of December? Not even a full 2 weeks at this point. So it's been a very quick start to the winter season for us. Fortunately, I am tracking a brief warming trend here over the next few hours and also the next few days. Watch on this map here how we're going to move out of this lighter shade of blue into this darker shade. So that's suggesting not as cold of air that's going to be in place Tuesday. Same thing on Wednesday. But then following our storm system that's going to come through Tuesday night into Wednesday, that's going to draw in a much colder air mass again. So by this upcoming weekend, you see the core of this cold air just off to our north. That's beginning to dive to the south. So this weekend, I'm tracking low temperatures that are going to be near zero, if not sub-zero for some of us, and high temperatures that are just barely in the double digits. Tonight, we're going down to about 18 degrees, but then rising into the mid-20s by daybreak tomorrow. We're in the mid-30s for highs Tuesday and Wednesday, but Tuesday afternoon and evening, we do have a concern for icing as rain moves in, but ground temperatures are still going to be below freezing. Guys, back to you.
If you own a dog, odds are you can tell when they're hungry, happy, and so on.
But you may not know your dog just as well as you think you do. We're going to break down a new study when we come back. You might think you really know how your pet is feeling. New research is revealing when it comes to dogs, people still have a lot to figure out. Marianne Rafferty takes a closer look at the problems that can surface if you're misreading your pet's emotions.
While it's safe to assume most dog owners would do anything for their furry friends, new research finds many people might be barking up the wrong tree and misreading their pet's emotions.
There are quite big gaps in how we understand dogs are feeling, and that we're nothing like as good at it as we think we might be.
When it comes to interactions between people, previous studies show folks who are happy are also more likely to view others as being happy and vice versa. But teams at Arizona State University found the opposite can happen when it comes to how we see dogs.
If we're missing key signs of how our dog is feeling because we perceive something differently than what's actually happening, we might actually be misreading some signs. We might be putting them in bad welfare states when we think they're in good welfare states.
Researchers showed 300 participants various images of dogs, including a dog in a park, a dog on the side of a road, and more. Participants were then shown clips of 3 dogs who were either reacting to a positive, negative, or neutral situation. Teams discovered that people who saw images of happy dogs rated the dogs in the videos as being more sad. But those who saw pictures of sad dogs thought the dogs in the videos appeared happier.
Big picture, if we can better understand how we perceive dog emotions, we can better care for them.
While more research is needed to understand what's causing this, teams say learning how to gauge a pet's emotions can also reduce the chance for potential injuries like dog bites. I'm Marianne Rafferty, Fox News.
I'm Tina Wynn. Next in sports, after Notre Dame was left out of the college football playoff, their AD, Pete Bavacqua, is speaking out. Plus, the Bears are still feeling the sting of the Packers' loss, but ESPN's Mike Greenberg still has plenty of hope for this team moving forward. Hear from him next in sports.
All right, hope you're all staying warm out there, doing whatever you can to accomplish that, because it's cold. Like, what?
Well, you know what, Terrence? Don't worry about it. I have a warm-up to tell you about.
Hey, were we talking shorts and flip-flops?
Sure. Okay. You know, I saw 2 people out this morning actually running in shorts.
Wow.
Their legs were bright red.
A lot of shrinkage.
From the cold. But, you know, we have warmer temperatures that are going to be here the next 2 days. But by warmer, I'm talking 30s. That's about as well as we can do. However, 30s is what's considered to be average now. So your average high temperature for this time of the year is 39 degrees. And tomorrow and on Wednesday, we're expected to be in the mid, maybe a couple spots sneaking into the upper 30s. Air temperatures right now, we are sitting in the teens in places like Aurora. We're at 14 degrees. It is 24 at O'Hare, 23 in Gary. Same thing at the Chicago Lakefront, down to 18. Currently in Valparaiso, it's 17 in Rensselaer and Kankakee. Same thing in Morris. Once you factor in a light breeze, it's sending wind chill temperatures for a lot of us down into the single digits and teens. And then actual air temperatures in the next few hours for most areas going to be dropping down into the teens before we begin to warm up into the mid-20s by daybreak tomorrow. So kind of one of those backwards nights where we're going to end up hitting our low temperature in the evening, and then we will warm up into the mid-20s tomorrow morning. 30s expected through your day on Tuesday and Wednesday, and then much colder air is going to build in again late this week. We have another Arctic air mass that's going to be building in for this weekend. We have low temperatures by Saturday morning that are actually going to be going down to about 0. Some of our cool spots very easily going to be dropping a few degrees below 0. Satellite and radar, things are quiet for now, but we do have snow off to our northwest. Small chance that some of those snow showers could work their way in late tonight and into the early morning hours of tomorrow, but little to no accumulation expected with that round. And then going through the day tomorrow, Tuesday morning, I think we're just waking up to mostly cloudy skies. Again, temperatures in the 20s when we wake up. But then during the afternoon and evening, we have rain, a wintry mix, and maybe even some snow that's going to be moving through. But the problem with this is that with air temperatures that are going to be warming up just above the freezing mark, that's going to allow rain to fall. But our ground temperatures are still going to be at or below freezing. So what does that mean for us? Any untreated surfaces, I'm talking roads, sidewalks, bridges, anything like that, very quickly going to ice over. That's going to be the possibility that we're dealing with tomorrow afternoon and evening. So kind of build that into your Tuesday afternoon and evening commute, that it could become very slick. And then going into Wednesday, we're going to have scattered snow showers around, and those could be briefly heavy at times as well. 7-day forecast, 30s the next few days, but then we drop to the 20s. Thursday and Friday, we do have a chance of scattered snow showers. Highs are going to be in the low to mid-20s, and we're dropping to the teens, just barely into the teens. By Saturday and Sunday, overnight low temperatures are down to near 0, and with a slight breeze, that's very easily going to take wind chill temps down to 10 to 20 below going into this weekend. Back to you.
Well, one day after the Fighting Irish missed the college football playoff, their AD is speaking out.
Well, first, the Bears still recovering from yesterday's loss to the Packers. Tina is here with more. Hey, Tina.
Yeah, the Bears seeing their 5-game win streak coming to an end. Bears suffering their first loss since October 26th. The Bears have won several close games this season, but yesterday in Green Bay, the magic finally ran out. Chicago dropped to 6-2 in one-score games, falling just short to the Packers 28-21. Take a look at the playoff picture right now in the NFC. The Bears now 9-4, went from being the 1 seed a week ago to now the 7 seed. There is a 1-game difference between the Rams and the Bears. It's proof that the margin of error in the NFC is extremely slim with 4 games left, including a rematch with Green Bay in 12 days. Every little detail matters against good teams.
When you play good teams on the road, every little thing matters. All the details matter. You know, we start off on offense with 2 penalties in the first 2 drives, and we don't overcome them. And so every little thing matters. And, you know, we just didn't start well enough. I think to your point, yeah, you got to play and you got to utilize all 60 minutes of your brand of football. And we dug ourselves into a hole, and it certainly wasn't where we want to start that game.
No, it ain't no moral victories. We didn't get the job done. And, you know, I'm waking up still frustrated with that game, looking at it. I don't think anybody needs to take this as a moral victory. Like, you look at the scoreboard, we lost, and we ain't where we want to be, so it ain't no moral victories for that.
All right, so it was a tale of 2 halves for the Bears yesterday. The Bears finally found a rhythm in the second half, scoring on 3 straight drives, erasing an 11-point deficit at the half. But ultimately, they came up a play short, a play that Packers head coach Matt LaFleur said they were planning for a run on 4th down, and guess wrong? Well, they ended up working out in their favor, though. Despite the loss to Green Bay, ESPN's Mike Greenberg says Caleb Williams and the entire organization is light years ahead of schedule.
I think Caleb Williams and the entire Bears team, for that matter, are light years ahead of schedule. And I emerged feeling better about them than I did before the game began. I felt better about the Bears and their prognosis, both short-term and long, after losing that game than I felt before it started. The play at the very end, I think, is just a bad throw. That's a play that he probably should have made. I think Caleb Williams is on the verge of being an absolute superstar.
More with Mike Greenberg coming up on Chicago Sports tonight at 6 p.m. on Fox Local, and then at 9:30 right here on Fox Chicago. FS1's Danny Parkins also reacts to the Bears' loss and how do they bounce back against the Browns on Sunday. Speaking of Cleveland, rookie Shedeur Sanders will remain the starting QB for the remainder of this season. Sanders coming off the best game of his career, 394 total yards and 4 scores in yesterday's loss to Tennessee. By the way, the Bears opened up as a 7.5-point favorite at home on Sunday. Well, the 12-team playoff field is officially set, and to no one's surprise, it came with some controversy. The selection committee sparked debate by choosing to include a 3-loss Alabama team and awarding Miami a spot in the playoff over Notre Dame. The committee's decision left Notre Dame frustrated. They are so hurt that they're opting out of a bowl game, a choice that was agreed upon by the team captains. Then today, Notre Dame's AD, Pete Pavakla, went on the Dan Patrick Show and took a direct shot at the ACC conference that houses almost every Fighting Irish sports team. Take a listen.
We have no gripes about any of the schools in the ACC, but we were mystified by the actions of the conference to attack, their biggest really business partner in football and a member of their conference in 24 of our other sports. And I would tell you, Dan, I wouldn't be honest with you if I didn't say that they have certainly done permanent damage to the relationship between the conference and Notre Dame.
Well, that is what we call drama and chaos. It doesn't help that the ACC network was rerunning Miami and Notre Dame game all weekend long. And last but not least, Illini basketball moves up 1 spot to 13 in the latest AP basketball poll. We're back with more after this break.
Patrick.
All right, final check of your 7-day forecast. We have the warm up that Terrence has been waiting for. We're going into the 30s tomorrow. Same thing on Wednesday. But unfortunately, that's coming along with some rain, kind of a wintry mix Tuesday afternoon and evening. And with that moving in, ground temperatures are still going to be near or below freezing. So that could lead to some icing concerns tomorrow afternoon and evening. Any untreated surface is going to become slick. And then it's downhill after that. We're getting very cold again, barely in the double digits this weekend.
Loving those zeros.
Oh, good.
All right, Emily, thank you, and thanks for joining us at 5.
Now you can stream us on your smart TV with Fox Local.
We're on all the streaming platforms.
Family Feud is up next. We'll see you back here for the news at 9. Be safe, be kind, and be well.
Tis the season